how can you become the main character in your own life? Whether it's Hollywood movies or Korean dramas, there's one thing all main characters have in common. They must endure a great deal of suffering. So, does that mean we have to suffer to become the main character? Or is it about understanding what suffering is and learning how to overcome it? Welcome to H&P Podcast, a place where I share the knowledge I've read and how I've applied it to real life, transforming it into my own perspectives and experiences. If you love exploring knowledge and want to apply great ideas to your own journey, then this is the place for you.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun as she puts her hand in mine.
The Four Noble Truths are the fundamental teachings of Buddhism, revealing four eternal truths about life and helping people see the true nature of suffering and the path to liberation from it. These truths include the truth of suffering, dukkha, the truth of the origin of suffering, samudaya, the truth of the cessation of suffering, nirodha, and the truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, magga. Ajahn Brahm, one of the most renowned meditation masters in the Theravada Buddhist tradition, has explained the Four Noble Truths in a practical and accessible way. He emphasizes that recognizing and confronting suffering is the first step toward understanding the nature of life and finding liberation. According to Ajahn Brahm, suffering is not something negative to be avoided, but a natural part of existence. When we truly understand suffering, we will no longer be controlled by it. Instead, we gain the ability to take charge of our lives and write our own stories with greater freedom. Many people let their lives be swept away by circumstances, influenced by external factors, without ever truly taking control of their own destiny. Becoming the main character in your own life is not just about accepting reality and taking control, but also about deeply understanding yourself and the root causes of suffering so that you can find the path to liberation. Inspired by the Buddhist philosophy of the Four Noble Truths, let's explore how these teachings can help us become the true protagonists of our own life stories. To become the main character in the story of our own lives, we must first understand the truth of suffering, dukkha. That is, to accept the existence of suffering in life. Many people tend to avoid challenges or negative emotions, running away from pain. However, it is precisely this avoidance that traps us in a cycle of anxiety and exhaustion. Ajahn Brahm believes that accepting suffering is the first step to freeing ourselves from its control. By facing pain directly and recognizing it, we can begin to understand its deeper causes. This is the truth of the origin of suffering, samudaya. The origin of suffering, samudaya. The cause of suffering arises from craving, from the desire and attachment to things we believe are essential for happiness. Ambitions for fame, money, love, or stimulating emotions often drive us into an endless pursuit, leading to fatigue and stress. To truly become the main character in our own lives, it is crucial to recognize how external factors influence and control us. Clinging to impermanent things only amplifies suffering, and the only way to overcome it is by learning to let go. Once we recognize the root causes of suffering, the next step is to realize that suffering can be ended. This is the truth of cessation, nirodha. Ajahn Brahm points out that the cessation of suffering is not some distant, unattainable state, but something that can be achieved in this very life through the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, magga. This path consists of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. As we embark on this path, each step of practice gradually liberates us from afflictions and suffering. By developing mindfulness and wisdom, we can live with awareness and no longer be swept away by unnecessary worries. This is how we become the main character, not by controlling everything around us as if life were a scripted play, but by responding to challenges with awareness and mindful action. As I read this passage, I feel that wisdom and right thinking are incredibly important. The Dalai Lama, though a Buddhist leader, has not limited his lifelong pursuit to Buddhist knowledge alone, but has also sought scientific understanding, particularly in how Buddhism relates to quantum physics. I've come to realize that learning is not just about earning degrees like a bachelor's or a master's, but about continuously expanding our knowledge through books and from people more knowledgeable than us. The more knowledge we acquire, the broader our perspective becomes, allowing us to accept more things because we realize that there are countless factors influencing what we perceive. What I see as good, others may see as bad. Right view, right thinking, and wisdom help cultivate compassion, making it easier to accept and let go, bringing a sense of peace. I have never come across a book that has made me reflect as much as The Four Noble Truths. I enjoy reading books on science and knowledge, yet I am also deeply drawn to Buddhist texts because they are structured in a highly logical and philosophical way rather than being purely spiritual. Philosophical and logical topics provoke deep thinking. This book is easy to understand, but truly grasping its essence and applying it to life is quite challenging. Practicing the Four Noble Truths is difficult. Only when one lets go of everything, like the great meditation masters, can they reach a certain level of realization. But for an ordinary person like me, even just striving to learn and apply what is written in the book has already helped me tremendously. Once we understand and practice the Four Noble Truths, we will gradually free ourselves from the shackles of suffering and fear. Ajahn Brahm emphasizes that true freedom does not come from power or possessions, but from liberating the mind from craving and hatred. When our mind is free, we are no longer affected by the ups and downs of life, and this allows us to truly take control of our own destiny. The main character in the story of their own life is not someone who never faces difficulties or failures, but rather someone who knows how to confront every situation with calmness and wisdom. Instead of being controlled by external circumstances, we remain proactive in how we live, how we perceive things, and how we handle situations with mindfulness. This not only frees us from suffering, but also helps us live fully, meaningfully, and peacefully. So how do we become the main character in the story of our own lives? Read The Four Noble Truths by Ajahn Brahm. Becoming the main character is not about gaining power or controlling the world around us, but about mastering how we respond to life's experiences. Through the Four Noble Truths, we learn to perceive suffering realistically without avoidance, understand its causes, and find the path to liberation. When we achieve inner freedom, we are not only the protagonist of our own story, but also the author of new chapters filled with peace and wisdom in every moment of life. I hope that after reading this book and watching this video, you will feel more at ease and be able to become the main character in the story of your own life. That wraps up my sharing for today's episode. If you found this content helpful, please share it with your friends and loved ones. Also, as usual, because YouTube's algorithm favors videos with more likes, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to help more people discover our podcast. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all a peaceful evening.